It's Lil Baby.
Welcome to episode 14 of Conversations with Chai. Today I have with me the very funny and I just found out a full-on matchmaker. I have Nina Kharoufeh. Nina, thank you for doing this.
Having me, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that we got you, especially the time that we got you.
Yeah.
First of all, let's just get a couple things out of the way because I'm gonna stand on Nina on these. First of all, fuck Michael Rappaport.
Suck my dick.
Fuck Amy Schumer.
Whore.
Yo, because
they're racist. They're Islamophobic. Michael Rappaport is a culture vulture. He's been trying to be black his entire life. And did you watch him in the movie? I forgot what the movie was called.
What am I thinking about?
It was an old school movie where he played like a KKK member. And he played it all too motherfucking well. It was his best acting ever. And I feel like it was because it was method acting and he was just channeling his true inner being.
Yo, you know what's crazier? As I see people on the wrong side of things, they just start looking worse and worse. Like whatever video that Michael Rappaport put out.
He looks like he needs an IV.
Yeah. No, every time I see Amy Schumer now, every time I see Michael Rappaport, I'm like, yo, y'all look like shit. And maybe that's just because they age in like milk, right? But
they're white, of course.
It could be, right?
Don't age well.
Yo.
And racists don't age well.
I think when you sell your soul to the devil a little bit, the devil comes collecting.
You would think they sold their souls to the devil and they would be a little bit more successful.
Yo, selling your soul to the devil to end up as with Amy Schumer's career is crazy.
If I'm going to sell my soul to the devil and I end up like Amy Schumer, what was the point?
Yo,
I'm going to go to the devil and be like, I want my soul back.
I think...
She also claims that she's the most successful female comedian of all time. And it's like, bitch... You bugging.
Yo, okay, let's get into that. Cause why does Amy Schumer think that? Actually, cause
because she's done a few movies and had a few specials and all her material is stolen from Richard Pryor and other comedians and she's a notorious joke thief.
Who do you think is the best female comedian?
Of all time?
Yeah.
I mean, that's very subjective. Who's the funniest?
Your personal.
Personal, my favorite female comedian of all time, personally, is probably between Monique, Lunel, Sherry Shepherd, Wanda Sykes.
Wanda Sykes is so funny.
I love Ali Wong. There's so many I love.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not Amy Schumer.
For sure.
And it was before I found that she's racist.
Yeah, no.
You're a joke thief, Amy. Everyone knows you steal jokes. You could deny it all you want. The YouTube videos don't lie. Timestamps don't lie. You've stolen full on complete jokes and punchlines word for word from the greats. Stop it.
Let me ask you something, because as a comedian, right? Because I've always thought about this now, because there's so much comedy out there, right? In terms of how many jokes are being made on a nightly level, on a weekly level.
Or premises done, of course. There's only so many things you could joke about. Everyone has a joke about dating. Everyone has a joke about dating apps. Everyone has a joke about their of course there's gonna be similar premises, but for you to steal a joke word for word with the come on now. And most jokes are about your own personal life, so it's kind of hard to duplicate. I have so many jokes that are specific to me where no one else could ever do them. It just wouldn't make any sense, you know?
In terms of comedic integrity, where do you draw the line? Is it hey, you're taking this, because there's also essences of jokes that definitely get, let's call them plagiarized. Yeah, plagiarized. And so I always wondered yo, where is the line for that? Because I hear a lot of jokes that's yo, I've heard this joke before, right? Yeah. Not in the sense of yo, you're probably stealing it, but it kind of sound like the same exact joke, right?
There's a few hijabi comedians that I love to death. Shout out Zayn, shout out Diala, two of my very good friends. They're both hijabis. One of them they're both married now, but one of them was single for a while she was doing comedy. And we had a lot of similar jokes because we have similar lives. What's it like being a hijabi in an all-American workplace? You know, like, obviously we're going to talk about our life experiences and some of them are going to overlap. I never accused her of stealing my joke because she's talking about her life. She has similar experiences like I do. We both talked about all the questions we used to get asked, what it's like being going to the beach in a hijab and the whole beach is staring at you. Like, those are just similar life experiences that, like, but her take on it was different than mine. Her experience felt different than mine, you know? So can you have similar jokes? Of course. But when you're stealing word for word, that's a whole nother level of plagiarism.
Yeah, for sure.
Where it's like, I could hear Deanna do a joke and it inspires me to write something about my own experience in that category. That's different, you know? But there's definitely a level of integrity I think most comedians do follow.
Yeah. I feel like I know the answer, but I definitely kind of want to still ask because I want to hear more about like the actual experience. Like, how has it been being a hijabi doing comedy? Because like I'm sure it's like impacted your journey in comedy.
Yeah.
But how would you describe it like overall?
It's been fun. I've definitely been heckled a few times more than most, I think, both from the white man and my own people, because I feel like I'm very different for white people and they don't know how to receive me. And then I'm also very different from my own people because they're not used to seeing somebody of their own kind on stage. So it's kind of like, no matter what kind of room I'm in, I'm still a novelty. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that would make you like I feel like that's like,
so it's good and bad.
I feel like all hijabis should be like supporting you and what you're doing.
Hijabis definitely do support me. It's more men that are like, you shouldn't be doing that. Or I remember the very first time, this literally, it's a great segue to another conversation. The very first time I ever got heckled, all I said was, I just came back from Palestine, and someone in the crowd shouted, "Palestine doesn't exist." And I was so new to comedy. I still am, but I was like just started, and I felt myself getting like super like flustered, and I literally felt like I was getting hot because I was like getting nervous and just like I didn't know how to handle it, and the show was like, it was probably my worst performance.
But now you be bodying those.
Now I'd be like, come on the stage, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you.
No, now you be bodying those because now when those heckles come, because now especially with
I got used to it now. I grew a thicker skin.
Yeah, but like even with with the current climate that we're at, right? Like you're probably hearing that regularly, and you're so
come to my show and you think you're gonna heckle me, I'm gonna embarrass you.
Yeah, and you're so,
and if not, I'm smacking the shit out of you. So one or the other.
Yeah, and you're so like loudly like like pro Palestine, right?
Hell yeah, that, like, it's the right way to be.
And of course you're gonna get like reaction and response to that. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure you've like accepted that and know that about like, hey,
it's
like,
just gonna be part of the gig now. I've accepted it. But I think clubs are also very, very good on protecting the artists, where if anyone got rowdy, any club would remove them very quickly. Shout out to The Stand. I got heckled a few weeks ago. It had nothing to do with Palestine. The guy was just drunk. They immediately removed him. Mm-hmm. Clubs are very protective over us now, which is nice.
I think that's like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like comedy kind of protects their own in a sense, right? Because they understand like it is like honestly the best expression of like the freedom of speech thing, right? And I feel like comedians know that they have to protect that for themselves, and therefore like they have to protect it for all of their peers, right? Because as soon as they start saying that, you can't say whatever, right? Then
I'm gonna say whatever the fuck I want.
Everybody else down the list is gonna be like, oh, am I allowed to say something, right? Like what? And I think like to everybody who's like at the top of like the comedy game, right? Like to their credit, Chappelle, Schultz's, right? Like they are so openly vocal about whatever, right? Like they don't hold back. Because I think if like the titans in the industry all held back, of course, like everybody else below them in the tiers of like comedy probably wouldn't be even semi-comfortable because they're like, damn, if Chappelle and Schultz aren't saying anything, right? It's kind of difficult for me to be the one.
I've never lived my life in fear, and that goes to every aspect of my life. I've always been very honest. I've always been very vocal about the things that I believe in, the things I stand for. Even when I was younger and I first wore hijab, I went to a public school. People talked shit like other students, and I never cared. Like I was always very strong mentally and emotionally. growing up, and now being a comedian, it's gotten 10 times worse. I'm not gonna live in fear. I'm not gonna be scared that I might say something and offend somebody. I know the level of morality that I have, and I know I'm not saying anything wrong. I never punch down, except for Amy Schumer and Michael Rappaport, but they deserve it. I have a lot of integrity, and I'm not scared to say what I gotta say. And if people don't like it,
you think? Let me ask you something, because like I've always kind of wondered this, because like I have my cousin Nash wears a hijab as well, right? And like I felt like I've had this conversation with her where I feel like her wearing a hijab and being so like open about it has made her more stronger willed. Like she's probably the least affected person out of all of the people that I know, right? Like in terms of like you could say something, it just don't bother her, right? Like whereas like somebody say something to me, I'm eating that shit for like a week, right?
Really? Aww.
Like but I think a lot of it.
Some of my comments.
I could not. Like I like really think about it.
My DMs.
I can't even imagine, because like I see some of the comments and I see like, think about it. You're getting it. If people are ballsy enough to actually like passionate enough to say something to you in person, I can't even imagine what your DMs, those comments look like.
Wild.
Is it crazy?
Chaos. But I only get one of 3 DMs. And they're always from men. Shout out to the men in my DMs. One is, I'm obsessed with you. Can we get married? The second one is, you're a whore and I hate you and you're not funny. And 3 is a mix of the 2.
It's like I hate you, but I also want to get married to you.
You're really pretty, but you're not funny. Like, like weird. There's a weird mix of the 2. So I either get super like people love me or hate me. I get nothing in between.
That's so
like there's no middle ground with me. People either like fuck with me heavy or they're like, I hate her.
Have you, since obviously like everything has been going on, do you feel like a shroud of support around you? Because you should, right?
Yes, I do. I definitely do, especially nowadays. We were talking earlier, this whole thing in Gaza is nothing new. It's been going on for 75 years. I've been screaming Free Palestine for 30 years. It's just for the first time it's getting the social media attention it deserves. And I've gotten a lot of really supportive messages from non-Muslims and non-Arabs that are like, hey, we're with you. We support you. Like, how are you feeling? But I've also lost a lot of friends because I feel like before October 7th, I knew that a few people in my life were Zionists, but I gave them a pass because I felt as though they didn't know any better. They were brainwashed. They don't really know, that's just the way they were raised. I gave them grace. And then seeing the inhumanity that they've been, like the side that they just lack morals, like not calling for a ceasefire, not calling the Palestinians collateral damage, calling the 6,000 dead kids just, oops, it's war. I'm like, oh no, you're a bad person.
I think now it's just become
now
like
I can't. No, you're an evil person. You can't get any grace. If you're not on social media, no matter what race, ethnicity, gender you are, if you're not calling for an immediate ceasefire, you lose all credibility that you have any ounce of dignity or just any kind of heart. You're just cold-hearted. You're a monster. I'm sorry. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think like now where we're currently at with like the rhetoric, right, is like if you can't say, because people aren't even saying now like Free Palestine, right? Like of course Free Palestine,
it's like,
right?
Save them. But like there's a genocide going on.
Yeah, now it's just like, we're calling for people to stop getting like killed, right? Like it's just the stop ceasefire. Like you don't even have to say, if you don't feel comfortable knowing the political landscape and all of that and saying like Free Palestine, don't, right? But if you can't say ceasefire and stop killing babies, like that's like an insane,
like I was saying, like if you can't get online and say that no one, especially children, should be getting their heads blown off, and you can't fathom writing #ceasefire, you lose all credibility that you have any ounce of compassion in you. Like you're just not a good, decent human being. And it's like people are saying, oh, it's just war. Oh, it's collateral damage. Oh, oops. Oh, it's Hamas. It's like, there is no excuse to kill 6,000 children ever, no matter what they're doing. So how can I ever go out and have dinner with somebody who views Palestinians as just collateral damage?
It's like
they don't see me as a human.
It's like one of those things where it's like, yo, like I really those I like really try to believe in, like the good of humanity, right? Because I have to, right? Like I'm a human. Like I want to believe that us as humans, like we have like humanity and compassion, and like those things are just like wide and spread.
Yeah.
But these are the times that make me like really question those things, and it doesn't make me feel good because I'm just like, damn, it doesn't even matter who the person is. It doesn't matter what their parents did. For some reason, there's something just makes me feel very wrong about seeing like dead babies. Like,
Yeah, and just for the record, if this was 6,000 Israeli babies, I would still be like, yo, stop it, ceasefire, like enough. No matter who these babies were.
it's just like, like these are like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck about y'all conflicts. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
this surpasses disagreements on political agenda.
yeah, like
This surpasses disagreements on who was here first and this surpasses everything. These are innocent children, innocent women, innocent men. And it's like, okay, you want to talk, fuck the adults. The children.
Bro,
like, how can you be so cold-hearted?
It's like, yo, these like 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, these babies, like they have no idea what's going.
Well, like, Hamas, stop it. If you whataboutism to make an excuse to justify the killing of 6,000 babies, like you should. How do you have friends?
What do you think?
Like,
what do you think is like? Because obviously, like you're close to like obviously like been tracking it for years, right? Before this, right? Like what? Like people ask me this, like my opinion, and I'm like, I don't know enough, right? What is like the resolution here? Like, what do you think is like going to happen? Not like what we hope to happen, but
I think this is the beginning of the end of Israel as we know it. And I don't mean that they're all gonna die. We're gonna kill. No, stop it.
Okay.
I think this is the beginning of the end of the regime that they have, the siege they have over Gaza, the siege they have over the West Bank, the occupation. I think that for the first time, the world is realizing what the state of Israel really is, and they're debunking their lies, and they're getting exposed, and people are really like, Palestinians are indigenous to the land. And I think they're fleeing left and right. If they were indigenous to the land, they wouldn't be leaving. The airports in Tel Aviv were packed. Everyone was leaving, going back to Brooklyn, going back to Poland, going back to Europe, where they came from. Did you know that in Israel, the DNA tests are illegal? Like the Ancestry.com tests?
Really?
Because none of them are from there.
Interesting.
Joe Biden is older than the state of Israel. When Joe Biden was born, it was called Palestine. How are you going to say that these people are indigenous to the land? They all have skin cancer.
I saw that, right? What was the stat? What was the stat?
Israelis have the second highest rate of skin cancer in the entire globe. How are they indigenous? They can't handle the sun.
So let me dive into what you're saying though, right? So you're saying like the end of Israel, right?
The end of the occupation that they have over the Palestinians.
But how do you see,
and I don't mean that by mass death.
How do you see that though? Because right now what I'm seeing is that like, yo, the people of the world are, hey, like this is wrong, this is foul. But all the powers that matter are still unable to say anything or do anything.
But I think people are forgetting the ultimate power is God.
Mm-hmm.
And you could call me naive, you could call me religious, you could call me whatever you want to call me. I truly believe God is on our side and God will prevail. I've been seeing that when soldiers come out of Gaza, they talk about that they're fighting ghosts. I don't know if you've seen a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like their angels are helping people in Gaza. Like they're not good on the ground. Like
I won't lie. Like I think a lot of like the clips.
There's stories like the Battle of Badr that God has said that in the Quran that He had sent angels to help them with the battles and stuff. And there's soldiers that come on there like we don't even see who we're fighting. Like you can't make that stuff up. I think,
and that's the crazy part, and like honestly, like I don't want to use the word like inspiring, but it is like inspiring to me, like seeing like I obviously you see so many clips of these, but I saw this clip where it's like this man, right, he lost his wife, he lost his 4 kids, right, and like the people around him in the hospital are like crying, and then he's looking at them like, yo, like why are you crying, right, just like screaming over and over again like subhanallah, subhanallah, right, like yo, like they were martyred, right, like, and I'm just like, yo, that is the craziest thing.
There's no people on the planet like the people of Gaza. They have the most dignity, the most iman. They have the most resilience. They have the most honor. They're just they're a different breed of human beings. The people of Gaza, the resilience they have. If you're 15, you've lived through 4 wars, like, and they have a smile on their face, and all they're asking for is liberation and freedom.
I think you hit the nail right on the head, right? I think it's crazy because I think about it. I'm like, damn, if I
I cry when I miss the train.
If
I can't imagine what these people are going through.
If I was in school right now, I see these videos of these children obviously still trying to be children, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn, if I was in school right now, I would be like, fuck. If you know what I'm saying? Like, if I was in America right now and I knew yo, there's bombs coming all the time, right? I'd be like, fuck school. Right? Like,
you would join a militia like Hamas. Like, that's what the fact that Israel, pro-Zionists can't fathom the fact that a group of people decided to rally up and fight back is the most ridiculous. It's honestly insulting that they would think that Hamas wouldn't exist. Do you think that Arabs are just going to sit back and allow you guys to occupy us forever and we're just going to be like, oh, well, this is our life now? We're supposed to just get colonized and shut the fuck up about it? No, that's not how the world works. Not only that, Israel funded Hamas in 1987 to rebel against the PLO, and then it backfired because Hamas was like, actually, fuck y'all and fuck the PLO. We want freedom. Because the PLO is very corrupt. And
put me on the game. So when you say PLO, Palestinian
Liberation Organization, it's the wing in the West Bank. And in the 80s, they were in the late 80s, they were basically the government. They were corrupt. They were working with Israel and whatnot. So then, but they were getting a little bit of power.
Mm-hmm.
So Israel was like, we need to arm a smaller militia to go against the PLO to dismantle them. So then they gave Hamas a bunch of money and weapons, and then Hamas ended up being like, fuck y'all, and then turned on Israel. But Israel funded Hamas. That's a fact. That's an undeniable fact. You could Google it. There's footage of Israeli Knesset members talking about this. But of course, pro-Zionists, they don't like facts,
mm-hmm.
and they just deny everything because they're ridiculous people. But yeah, Hamas was created in 1987. The occupation of Palestine started in 1948.
Mm-hmm.
1945 really, but more the 48, the Nakba and stuff. So it's what was Israel's excuse to bomb Palestine before Hamas was a thing? Because they've been killing us since 1948.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your excuse then? You know,
have you been?
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
No, I'm saying, have you been?
Yeah. Go not to Gaza, no.
Okay, but Palestine.
Yeah. The second the border is open, that's my first stop. I'm gonna join any humanitarian aid group that I could find.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's just say hey, we finally got a ceasefire, right? Finally got to stop. What does even rebuilding that look like, right? Because there's generations gone.
It's funny how Israel played the West so well in terms of convincing them that this was in order to find the hostages. And it's if you're looking for 300 hostages, why would you carpet bomb an entire area and not know who you're bombing or where the hostages are? I thought you guys wanted to go find them. Why are you just bombing left and right?
I think, and this is the part that again, all of it is fucked up, right? And this is the part that I'm just yo, even in military, whatever y'all want to say about the US, right? There's some level of military, and of course, there's always room to improve on this for even any country, right? But there's some level of rules to military engagement, right?
The Geneva Conventions, international law,
actual law, right? And it's just yo, how
and bombing a hospital is number one on that list of you can't do. And their excuse is that there's a Hamas base in the basement. Regardless of if there was a Hamas base in the basement, no matter if fucking Osama bin Laden was on the roof of this hospital, it's against international law to bomb a hospital. So regardless, they're committing war crimes. So how can anyone deny that Israel is committing genocide and war crimes? And what? The logic is just, the math ain't mathing.
The math ain't mathing. And the scary part is when people then dig, and I wonder how far is the digging? Because when people understand and see, and people are saying yo, you're wrong, and then they dig in further and further, you're dealing with when we talk about extremism, right? We're dealing, that ends up being the highest level of extremism, right?
Yeah.
Because it's oh, you're not there's no real there's no real discourse here, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I say or what I show, right? Because they're showing dead babies, beheaded babies on television, right? So it don't matter, right? Because we've done the complete end of the spectrum of what we could show you. There is literally nothing else and nothing more dramatic that we could show you.
We're live streaming the genocide on Instagram, and people are just like, well, oops.
And because people always talk about like, yo, like how did
we let the Holocaust happen? By propaganda.
And it's like here this time it's like, yo, we don't get to, the history doesn't let us feign ignorance on this, right? Like there's too much, like the age of information that we're in now, right? History doesn't let us feign ignorance, because a lot of like the US, like if you went to school in America, right, you learned that it's like, oh yeah, the US didn't know what was going on, right? So that's why we didn't enter the war and it wasn't our thing.
That's exactly what I was saying on the other day on another podcast. It's like, when I was younger, I learned that Christopher Columbus discovered America. I never fact-checked. I never, that's what I was taught, and that's what I believed until I was like 24. I was like, wait, what? Christopher Columbus was a bad man? I had no fucking idea. Until like I saw a few people like protesting Thanksgiving. I'm like, why are they protesting Thanksgiving? I love Thanksgiving. Like, and then I was like, oh, there was people here before us. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. And then we were taught that. I remember learning about the Holocaust, and we were like, why didn't America do anything? Oh, well, we didn't know. And I was like, no, we knew. We just didn't care until we cared, because it was in our national interest to care.
That shit is done for. Like, that shit is done for.
That's what I was saying. Like, before this specific war in Gaza, I gave people grace for being ignorant. With everyone scrolling on their phone 24/7, there's no fucking excuse for you not to know what's going on.
Well, here's the thing. Like that's not even like a real reality, right? Because I think even like the Western propaganda machine, or like propaganda machines in general in the world, can't work anymore. Bro, there's an entire generation of kids that are being born after 9/11, right? That completely there's a whole I'd be scrolling through TikTok.
Did you see everyone reading Bin Laden's letter to America like the past 2 days? I haven't read the letter yet, so I'm excited to read it tonight because I want to see what everyone's like talking about.
Yeah, no, because I think like even things that we're looking at in like history books, right? We look at them because we didn't experience them, so we have to then look for the information, right? And originally the information would only come from your schooling, your education system.
And who writes the textbooks? The winners.
The winners, right? Like history is written by the winners, right? Like
by the white man.
By whoever, that's who won, right?
Always. White people always win. White people ruin everything.
They not only
Schumer.
They won, and then because they won, and then they told you that like, oh, our shit was the best, and that's why we won, right?
And we won because we're moral, and we won because we're right, and we won because this, and we discovered this, and it was ours. What?
Y'all ever did you see I saw this meme today where it was like it's like what we thought U.S. history was, and it was a picture of Superman, and then what it actually is, and it was a picture of Homelander from The Boys, because it's like it's completely different than what we thought it was, right?
We convinced. I'll never forget, and I was young when I saw this. It was like, we didn't have like cable growing up, so I would watch like Channel 13, like PBS, like news documentaries and shit like that. I was way too young to be watching that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember this one guy did like original man on the street in Iraq with soldiers, and they were like, "Why are you fighting this war?" And no one knew. And people were like, "Oh, for freedom, for like things that." And people were like, "Why are you fighting this war?" And they were like, "Oh, because they did 9/11." And they were like, well, Iraq has had nothing to do with 9/11. And these guys that were literally carrying AK-47s, killing Iraqis left and right, they killed over 1 million Iraqis. They didn't even know why they were doing it.
And that's, again, parts of the narrative that'll never get shown, right? There is a huge population, or there's a population of like veterans that fought in those wars, giving back their medals. That
are depressed, that have PTSD, that kill themselves, because veterans are that have a huge rate of suicide. They all come back unemployed. Like, and you know who's joining the army? Poor kids. Because scouts don't go to rich schools. Scouts go to schools in the projects and promise you guys a job and free education and this, and join us. And if we don't fight in this war, then our freedoms are gonna get taken away. And it's like, what? That doesn't even make any sense.
It's actually,
it doesn't even make any sense.
It's crazy. I have friends that are military recruiters, and they tell me how like
they manipulate these young poor boys who have nothing else to do.
Have you ever heard like the running joke where it's like, yo, when you join the military, they give you a Hellcat and they tell you that, like, I'm just like, yo, like that's like how they're selling these kids, right? Like, it's like, hey, like you can't afford college, come here, make immediate money. It's like not even that much money in the grand scheme of things, right? But it's like, hey, make this immediate money, you get your car, we'll pay you, you'll get paid, and it's like, yo, this is just like, y'all know that they don't have any other choice. They have no other choice, right?
Yeah,
and
they sell them a dream. Then they give them a fucking rifle before they could even drink a beer and send them off to Iraq, and they come back all messed up.
It's fucked up, but and that makes you think because it's like, yo, it's not about the American people because those are American people. Those are the future, right? Those are kids that are 17, 18, could have been anything in the world, right? But instead, we're dragging them to here. So then you start asking the question, like, what is this all for, right? And then I think we were having this conversation before. For me, it's just purely money and power.
Yeah.
Money, thus equaling
money,
into
power,
power.
and resources. What do you think is under Gaza?
Oil. Always, right? Like,
what do you think is in Iraq? Not weapons of mass destruction.
Lots of other stuff, right? Like, and
no weapons of mass destruction ever found.
Let me ask you something, right? As a Palestinian, right? Like, you're looking at everybody around you, every Muslim nation around you, right? And what are you thinking right now? Because that's what I be thinking about. Because I'm all like, when people ask me like, hey, like, what do you think is gonna happen? I'm all like, I hope in my heart of hearts that like at some point those countries are gonna be like, yo, like, listen, like, we can't. Like, this is about to be an entire extermination of a Muslim population, right?
Here's the thing I feel about the Muslim countries surrounding. I've gone to Dubai, I've gone to Kuwait, I've gone to Qatar, I've gone to Bahrain, I've gone to so many places in the Middle East. The people, like in America, are pro-Palestine. They're like, we need to end this. This is crazy. People in Egypt, people in Jordan were marching to the borders. People in Egypt were marching to the borders. The few people in power are the ones pulling all the strings, and they don't give a fuck because of their own national interests and their own pockets and their own corrupt governments and whatnot. So to be like, well, people in Dubai are pro-Israel, fuck them. It's like, well, not really, because anytime I've gone to Dubai, I've sat on stage on Palestinian, I would get a roaring applause.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't think that people necessarily, the people in the government are two different things. Like, you can't, like right now, Joe Biden's unequivocally pro-Israel. I wouldn't want people in Gaza to look at me and be like, well, her president said this, so this is what she thinks. You know, it's two completely separate things.
But that's what's like crazy to me, because when you say like,
it's the few people on the top, just like in America.
But those few people, like, and this is the part that I try to, but this
psychopaths.
This is the part that I try to like really explain to my friends, and this is the part that like
there's a reason why they're not intervening. And what is it? I don't know. Illuminati shit.
No, but
I don't know.
But that's the part that like, yo, I want people to really think about, because that's the part that befuddles me.
It's not the people, though.
No, not people. I'm saying us.
I feel like Egyptians are some of the most pro-Palestinian people ever, but you don't see Egyptian governments being like, yo, stop it.
Yeah, but for me, it's like, yo, not forget, but like, think about like why. Because like some of these like leaders in these like Muslim countries, they're claiming that they're the descendants of like real important figures in Islam,
yeah,
right?
Like they're descendants of prophets and stuff.
But here's the thing, like you can't, because you can't stand on that and then also say like, yo, I don't care about these like very historic, very important mosques, right? Like from just like a pure, if you really believe that,
yeah,
you really believe in what the religion is, who you are in the religion, how could you not at some point be like, all right, enough is enough, right?
I don't know. I would love to sit down and interview them. I would love to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, my goal, like, I think it was Megyn Kelly interviewed Putin a few times, and the conversation was like really like intriguing and stuff. And I'm like, I would love to just fly out there and be like, why aren't you doing anything? Why don't you care? And do you know Mohammed Ramadan? He's an Egyptian black pop star. He said at the best in one of his videos, he was like that, I think, and I'm paraphrasing, he was saying how like his managers are telling him to like write in English so the Western world could know. And he was like, why would I write in English? Why wouldn't I write in Arabic so our own people could get up and do something about this? Like, we need to look within ourselves, our own communities, like the Arab world, the Muslim world. Like, they're the ones who need to stand up for the Palestinians, not the West. Like,
it's I feel mixed about both of those statements, right? Because yeah, but then you start thinking about like we were talking about like who controls the world, the winners, right? And unfortunately, because of like just pure military things, right? Like the West does have like a certain level of control over world, right? Like we've proven time and time again that we are in the business of destabilizing, right? We're very good at that part of like governing.
We're very good at causing chaos.
But again, I never count out America from like doing things that are like military driven, right?
Yeah.
Taking care of its own people, providing healthcare, maybe, right? But I never count out America and the West on how they actually maneuver the world, right? Because that they've proven that they're effective at. And I think that's like a big part of like why like the people at having access and information to each other is a very scary concept, right?
Yeah.
Because you can really only give the guise of governing the people as long as you believe that the people believe in you.
Yeah.
As soon as it starts, because then eventually people will start to look around being like, listen, all of us in the world are saying one thing, and the very, very few are saying another. So then it becomes the illusion of democracy is then completely obliterated, right? Because right now you could say like, hey, this issue, some people feel this way, some people feel this way, it's leaning this way. But for this issue and going forward, what happens when the rest of the world is like, hey, we all believe this. How come nobody is listening?
Yeah. I think that's where we're in right now. That's the exact point we're in right now. Literally, we have hundreds of thousands, millions of people across the globe protesting for Palestine, and people are just like, nope, well, never mind. Like, we don't care. Like it's crazy. And it's you said something earlier that made me think of this, and then it's a little bit off topic and it's kind of fucked up. But people always say that Israel is the toughest army in the world. And it's like, no, the fuck they're not. They just have the most money and resources. Because if you see these guys on the ground fighting, like they're literally making TikTok videos of them shaking their asses. Like they're out of shape. They take, first of all, if you're in Israel and you turn 18, you have to, it's a military state.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So they're taking the fat, they're taking the skinny, they're taking the slow, they're taking everybody just because it's a military state. So it's like, these people can't fight. Like, have you seen, like, I've seen so many videos of, like, Israeli soldiers, like, tripping and falling with their machine gun. Like, they're a bunch of fucking clowns.
But
like, what they're doing is they have a bunch of money from the West, so they're just flying drones and dropping bombs. That's not moral. That's not tough. There's, like, the most moral army in the world. No, they're the most evil army in the world, and they also just have the most resources.
But I think that's what happens with like the depersonalization of war, right? Like it's become so easy, and like because again, if you needed the people, right? Like if you needed the people to, because at one point, like you needed the people to go to war, right? Because you needed the actual physical people, right? But because of the technology and how it's expedited
war. You don't even
war,
need an army anymore.
You don't really need an army. You really don't need the people. And that's like the scary part.
You just need money and resources.
And that's the scary part, because that means like no matter what the people are saying, right? The people who control the buttons.
What people fail to realize is that a week before October 7th, there was thousands of Israelis protesting to get Netanyahu out of office. They were on the brink of civil war. There's so many pro-Palestinians that are Israeli, like so many. And Netanyahu has like a 20% approval rate in Israel. So they're saying October 7th is Israel's 9/11, which is like they create a problem, extinguish the problem, and be the hero at the end of it. But you're solving a problem that you created. Because there's so much, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but it's just like, why did it take the IDF 6 hours to report to the festival? Everyone in the country is a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't come till 6 hours later. Why? You can't blink in Tel Aviv without a soldier looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
Like anywhere I've gone to Tel Aviv. I've hung out in Tel Aviv. I've gone out. There's soldiers patrolling 24/7 every highway. Everyone is a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they show up 6 hours later? And then the IDF came out and admitted that the day of the festival, a lot of the casualties were because of Israel. They were just dropping bombs, and they all died in the crossfire because Israel doesn't care about its own civilians. They were just indiscriminately shooting, and everybody was just getting taken out, both Hamas members and Israelis. Then not only that, if they really cared about their own human life, why are they carpet bombing Gaza, the most densely populated civilian area on the planet, and not know where the hostages are? Who's to know if the hostages are even still alive? They don't fucking care.
So I'm going to ask you what I asked you before, right? Because I asked you, how does this end, right? And I'm going to ask you that again, right? Because I need to believe in some sort of, like, for my own personal, like, sanity, I need to believe that there is an ending, right? And an ending that I can accept.
I would love to say Imam Mahdi is coming to save us all, but that's a very
I need like a real, like, I get that, like, I get the faith, I get the Imam, right? But like I need to believe that there's a solution. I
think the world is siding with us for the first time, and that's gonna shift things. How much it's gonna shift it, how quickly it's gonna shift it, what's to come. But I know that within our lifetime, things are gonna be different out there. I truly believe that.
I hope so.
And liberation is usually bloody, as sad as that sounds.
It's like so interesting.
And it's written in the Quran. It's written that Palestinians will have to face this. It's written that Israel's going to become super powerful. It's written that the Arab world's going to turn their backs on us, and we're going to end up victorious because we have God on our side. And not only that, aside from my religious opinion on this, everyone's siding with us for the first time in history. Like, a few years ago,
I saw in Texas that they have rednecks on fucking horseback at a Gaza protest. Like,
everyone's on our side. We have the gays.
Like,
first of all, this stupid dumb fuck Israeli soldier flew the pride flag on the beach in Gaza and was like, for the first time, we're flying the pride flag in Gaza. Reminder, Hamas hates gay people. And it's like, bruh, same-sex marriage is illegal in Israel. Y'all don't like gay people either. What do you say? No, I love the gays, but I'm just saying, like, most religious groups are like anti-gay because it's just the way it is. I don't control it. I wish it was different, but that's just a cold fact that people need to accept. But I'm like, if you're in Gaza, whether you're gay or straight, you're still getting blown up. So it's like, why are you pink washing and pandering to the gay community? Because everyone on TikTok that's gay is like, I'm gay and I'm still pro-Palestine. I'm like, we even got the gays on our side.
Well, all of that stuff that comes out of like
we have everyone on our side.
From content like that, it's not for anybody within Palestine. It's literally to get like the world's, like, the different demographics of the world to come.
First of all, I'm so mad that I didn't go to the DC rally for Israel because they were paying people $250 a pop. Mm-hmm. Like, we all should have rolled up,
collected a quick $250,
collected a check and went home.
Yeah, collected a quick $250.
They're paying influencers to talk about Israel, like. The propaganda, like, we're winning the social media war. We're winning the mainstream media war. We're like, the fact that we have Candace Owens on our side.
Bro, Piers Morgan looked like he about to convert. Like
things are changing.
Like, Piers Morgan seems like he's on the right side. It's the craziest thing. Candace Owens is on.
And then you have people on Fox News saying the Pakistanians.
Yeah,
I was like, I said it to all my Desi friends. I was like, I'm sorry you got dragged into this.
Yeah, it's insane because it like makes you really think like how out of touch the people like running the country probably really are, right? Because it's like
Joe Biden. No one can convince you that this man doesn't have Alzheimer's or some sort of like old person mental disease. Mm-hmm. He literally, and I quote, literally said, "I was born in Israel." At a speech of his. Yeah, Homie G.
Come on, we know Joe not all the way there anymore. That's not even a secret.
You were born in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. You're older than the state of Israel. When you were born, it was called Palestine. You were born in 1945. And not only that, you can't be the president if you weren't born in America. So how the fuck were you born in Israel? This is the man leading America. We're better off with Trump.
It's
at least he was entertaining.
It's crazy. Like, I think
this man he doesn't know what day of the week it is. He's just fallen left and right.
But like that's like the tough part to like watch because you're like, I am so like desensitized to like stupid shit like that because I see stupid shit like that every day. Like stupid shit like that, meaning like from people that are supposed to be like leading this country in a better direction, are supposed to be giving us the news. Like I see bullshit all the time. And I think that like is where we don't, it's like tough. Like we need to go do things like when they matter. Because as much as like, yo, like winning the social media battle is important, right? It needs to then drive further action, right? Because all of this
boycott Starbucks. Starbucks is sweating. Their stocks have been going down every day, little by little, and people are getting shamed into buying Starbucks. There's people on the internet that are like, I don't even know why we're boycotting Starbucks, but if everyone's gonna do it, I'm joining. People are love to jump on the bandwagon. So I don't care what your reasoning is, boycott Starbucks.
Bro, back to like, yo, what actually runs the world, right? Money. It is money and power, right? If it's the money, bro, like stop the fucking money, right? Like stop the grind. Like, cause that's the
BDS.
Only thing they give a fuck about.
BDS.
That's the only thing they give a fuck about.
Hell yeah.
Like, until we say, like, yo, because all of these, like, because, hey, you don't need the people to go do XYZ, but you know what you do need? Money, right? Like, you need the money to go buy the thing and subcontract the thing. So, hey, I can go blow up this thing, right? You need the money for that. How do you stop it? You stop the money. Like, like, when we talk about, like, money flow in the US and money flow anywhere, right? It's us spending money.
Yeah.
It's the people spending money, right? Yeah, they could create it, comes down, and then we spend it up, right? Yo, apply some pressure.
Yeah.
Apply some pressure, right? Because every time, your money might not directly influence a governor or senator, but all of the money that goes into these corporations that have $1 million budgets to go influence a senator or influence somebody, their money does.
Yeah.
Like, and they're lobbying for something.
And the only reason most of these politicians that don't have a dog in the game are so pro-Israel is because of lobbyists.
Lobby money. Bro, you said it earlier. Oil money, right? Like
I bet you 80% of these politicians can't find Israel on a map. They don't give a fuck. They care about who's donating to their campaigns.
Donating to the campaigns, who their friends are, right? Who else is around, right? Because like I think about, like we were talking about it before, like something that's like, it's so strange. It doesn't really matter, but it does matter. Like the idea of like celebrity, right? And it gets to, we're unveiling that a little bit now because like these celebrities are created by us, the people, right? Consumers, right? Like, yeah, we shouldn't on Michael Rappaport, we shouldn't on Amy Schumer, right? Yo, but if we watching the things, because if Amy Schumer put some shit out and nobody watched that bullshit, they canceling that shit.
Thing.
They're not putting her in another thing because they give a fuck about the money, right?
Yeah.
And listen, like there's enough people creating, doing comedy for you to consume somebody who is just as good, if not better, and probably is a more solid of a human being. Yeah. Right? Like, yo, like Nina Kharoufeh is out here making comedy. Like if you think that like, hey, I want to laugh and I want to go support her, right? Or go support somebody that, hey, you align with their views a little bit. Because when you give people money, you're giving them a little bit more power, right? And I'm not saying like you directly, right? But you're giving the establishment, you're giving the group, you're giving the people in that group the influence to go do something further, right? Because all this money gets kicked around somewhere, right? Yeah. Like us as a equal individual consumer level, nothing, right? But yo, we talked about it before. Chappelle having the money that he does to talk the shit that he does is powerful, right? Like he's able to be like, yo, you know what? I don't give a fuck what y'all saying over here, right? I can say whatever the fuck because I'm me and I'm already paid. I'm good for life, right? Like that in itself is a power. And I'm sure that Chappelle, other people that are pro us are doing things behind the scenes with their money to make sure that, hey, because it's all like everybody's competing worldviews and competing interests, right? But then it comes out to who has the most money to push their worldview. Yeah. Right? Like, because if you stop, like if I'm whatever industry, and I'm sure there's, I'm not definitely educated enough, but I'm sure there's companies that are like, yeah, you know what? Like we're not rocking with like Israel anymore. Like, oh, we're taking our business out of that shit. Like we're not selling it. Like, yo, flyest shit in the world. Huda Beauty. Huda.
Love her. She commented on one of my videos.
Bro. Yo, that's the shit that we should be doing. Because, yo, when you give her money, that's what happens.
Love her.
When you give Kylie and Kendall money, you know what doesn't happen? That. She gave what? $1 million?
$1 million, and she's been very vocal. She's been promoting. She's been raising awareness. She's been posting nonstop, speaking on our behalf, saying she doesn't want blood money. Like she stands on moral and principle, and I commend her like so much. She's an entrepreneur. She made it on her own. She has a multi-million-dollar business. Her makeup is top notch. Like Huda is the standard of what every celebrity should aspire to be like. And I'm not talking about just in terms of the Palestinian conflict, just in terms of standing on moral high ground. Like whatever you're like, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever, don't sell yourself for the white man. Like don't sell your soul, you know?
I think this is like, again, back to like me being like a full-blown capitalist, right? Like this is when you need to make like some level of discernment, right? Just because they're feeding you that product does not mean you have to consume said product, right?
Yeah.
If we all came around, I think about this in like smaller scale things, right? Like it's like why do these like models and why do these things get like these looks, right? It's because like we as the consumer just end up being like eating it, right? We're like, oh, Kylie put out some shit. Let's just buy Kylie shit, right? Yeah. Don't matter if the product good. It's just like, oh, the face. Who the fuck are these faces?
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
They're only faces because we decided that they're faces.
We gave them the money to go be the faces, right? Because if Kylie just put out bullshit like every single 6 months and nobody buy that shit, you know what happens? She no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Right? I
feel like this specific time around with the climate of social media right now, things are changing and shifting. The culture's changing. No, culture is we're in the process of a major culture shift in America.
For sure. I see it like even in like, my consumption just generally. Like, what's homie with the song for my people out in Gaza and Ramallah? I'm so bad at it. I
forgot his name, but I've used his sound like 10 times.
Bro, but like I'm like singing that. I'm like, those are like, rapper, fly, right?
Yeah.
Good music, right? And you know what? He's solid. He's solid as a person. Yeah. I'm putting my listens, my streams on that.
DJ Khaled will never, ever recover from this. Ever. He will never recover from this. From our community, never. The white people don't care. The hip hop people don't care. Oh, culture vultures don't care. I'm talking about like the brown community, Arabs specifically. He will never recover.
Again, okay, so like another point that I want to make.
He's going to be harassed for the rest of his life.
Another point about like, hey, people like making sure people like us are in positive places and places of influence, right? Like, Vlad said something about Khaled, and then he also said something about like Drake, right? The biggest Jewish artist and the biggest.
Drake was calling for a ceasefire.
Exactly, and you know why? Not you know why, right? Like, of course, like I'm sure Drake feels
Drake
this.
Loves Arabs.
Drake loves Arabs. No, Drake loves Arabs, and like, look at everybody in that camp. Oliver El Khadib.
His whole crew are Arab.
40, right? Like
his whole crew. I know the crew I know his personal crew. I went to one of their hookah bars in LA. They're all Arabs. They're all Palestinians.
Exactly, right? And it's like, like that, you realize how big that is? Like the biggest artist in the world saying like, like ceasefire, right? Because that shit, like, no matter what is important. He didn't
even say anything that was so like philosophical or important. He just said ceasefire. It's like if people are can't even go to the level of just saying ceasefire, it's like, are you even a human being?
Yeah, but like that's again, like it's so important that like we continue to push the people that like that align with our views, right? Because we need
to condemn the people that aren't doing it and
like
not
uplift?
Support like
applaud, uplift.
Yeah, and we need to like make sure that we support the people that are speaking up on it.
Yeah, and like listen, like support is, and I look, I've had this question like a lot, right? Like support is definitely like resharing and posting, right? But support is also like where your dollars are going, who you talking to, who you supporting.
People that are saying,
yeah, right? Because
reward and condemn where it's necessary.
Exactly, right? Because I'm all like,
Kalani. I've never heard of Kalani before this. No offense to Kalani. I found out about her. Dope as fuck. She gained a fan for life. And it's like, so like reward the people who are speaking for us and condemn those aren't. I think every Palestinian in America who has the means to should buy her album, should follow her, should support her, send her nice messages. Like anything that we could do within our power, like streams, even just follows go a long way. Everyone should should protect and support Kalani. She's speaking up more than most of the world leaders are.
No, for sure. And like, because like, here's the thing. There's pressure the opposite way. There's people now that are probably fucking with her life a little bit that makes this difficult for her, right? So we should, as the people, right,
Support
be like,
her.
go support, right? Because
Amanda Seales was I think I saw a TikTok that they said that Amanda Seales lost one of her managers or one of her reps over her speaking out to Palestinians. I'm like, everyone needs to follow Amanda Seales. Everyone needs to, I think she has a Patreon, whatever you can afford, even if it's $1 a month, support those who are supporting us. It's important.
Yeah, like, yo, Bella Hadid should get all the fucking flowers, right? Because, she is the supermodel in the world, right? And she, of course, she's Palestinian. She has to stand on it, right? I mean, not have to. We see other people not, right? But she stood on it.
Stands on principle.
But she stood on it. And that means for the rest of time, right? Us as a people got to be like, you know what? Bella Hadid always going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Always going to be taken care of, right? I don't give a fuck which brand not giving her money.
Someone where the collective is in support of them.
Yeah, because like, yo, fuck whatever big corporation don't want to give her the bag, right? Because us as a people going to make sure she's paid. The
only reason why most of these models are getting the gigs they have is because of followers and numbers. If we give our numbers to the people who matter and take away our numbers from people who don't, the narrative shifts.
Narrative shifts, right? And it is starting. I know it feel like helpless outside.
I know
right
now it's been a horrific, bloody, horrendous 35 days or whatever the number is. But I do think we will end victorious.
I think it's keep the path. I think it's keep the path. Like, people got to keep
You can't break the Palestinians.
Yeah.
They've been trying to for 75 years. You can't break us. And I think it was, I forgot who it was, someone in the Knesset has once said that, like, the old will die and the young will forget. And it's like, no. We're never going to forget our roots. We're never going to forget our land. We're never going to forget Palestine. And we will never forget. Like, we're here to stay. Palestinians are not going anywhere. And we're gonna end victorious. That's the way it is. Every empire fails.
This thing is too important where this can't be like every other trend that we have. Like, because every couple of years in America, like we give some issue that we care about, like, all of our attention for like maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And then we as a people just take our foot off of the gas, right? And when we take our foot off of the gas, that's when the bullshit starts back up, right? Because it's only when the foot is on the gas, right? That is the only time that they will actually like make change. Because all of this shit has been happening, like you said, has been happening the last 75 years, right?
They'll never defeat us.
But
Israel will never defeat the Palestinians. Our spirit, our resilience, our creed to the land, like it's unmatchable.
I know we talked about a lot, but I do this thing at the end of each.
Is this what your friend told you to ask me?
No. I think we kind of covered that because he gets the message, I think. I do this thing at the end
Rumi.
I do this thing. Hey, Sai. I do this thing at the end of each pod where I ask my guests to call their shot. It's like my version of manifesting, something that you want to happen personally, career-wise, next 3 to 5 years, something that you think is going to happen.
3 to 5 years?
Whatever.
Or about 1 to 3 years?
Whatever timeline you want.
I will do a 5-minute set on Jimmy Fallon.
A 5-minute set
in 2023.
In 2023?
Wait, what year is this?
2023.
Oh, 2024. I meant 2024. I don't know what year it is. I'm sorry.
Yo, that's going to happen. And when it does, I'm going to hit you and be like, yo, it's like, yo, that's crazy.
I'm a huge Jimmy Fallon fan.
I want you to know like how big that would be for not just like, of course, your career, right?
Yeah.
But to see like, yo, like just I always think about these things, right? Like I think about like a young hijabi girl at 9, 10, right? Getting to look on, like, of course, like mainstream isn't the only thing that matters, but being able to look on her TV and say, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like a hijabi woman that look like me that is on Jimmy fucking Fallon.
I'm a huge Jimmy Fallon fan. I have been for years. When I was in college, I tried for 4 years to intern for him and I always got rejected. But my senior year or junior year, I started interning for Seth Meyers, who films on the same floor as Jimmy Fallon. Mm-hmm. And for my entire internship, I just kept trying to like bump into Jimmy Fallon. It was like my dream and it never happened. But I'm a huge Jimmy fan. I love comedy. It's my entire life. And I will do the 5-minute slot on his show.
Yo, you will. Absolutely. Because those are the story that you're saying about waiting out, right? Like those are the stories that become even sicker when you do it,
Yeah.
right? Like people always think about like those, everybody who gets on the guest couch, right, gets to talk about like anything, right, for 5 seconds, and the people who say like, oh, that story, and they're like, oh, they're just making that up. No, that's really how it be sometimes, right? It really be like, yo, I was waiting outside the room to see just Jimmy Fallon, never got in the door, but now I get to come here on the show, right?
Yeah.
Not as an intern, right, but as me. And that shit is so much more valuable.
It's gonna be dope. I already have my outfit in my head.
Yo, that's how it starts. That's how the vision starts.
And within the next 5 years, I will be an Emmy winner. I already have my speech written out too.
I wanna first say like, yo, like thank you because
thanks for having me.
Thank you for doing this, but like honestly, like thank you for like carrying the flag. Obviously, like you're going to do it. Like you're positive, like of course, right? But
we don't take no for an answer.
But it does take. I know, like on a personal level, it is work, right? It is tough.
Yeah.
It is work. It would be easier if you could just shut up and not say anything, right? But it wouldn't sit right in your soul. But the fact that you're going out there, making the content, doing the gigs, getting through the backlash, getting through the criticism, right, and just staying at it, right? Because like that is you are the type of person. That's the type of actions that we need to actually make changes, right? I'm a huge believer of like resharing and reposting. Everybody do your part, right? But like doing what you do, right? And impacting more people, creating the content for people to go share, right? That's a huge, huge part of this, right? Because comedy and like the best form of comedy.
That's the way I like to receive my information is through comedy. So that's what I try to provide for other people. There is already a lot of content creators that are posting like facts. There's a lot of content creators that are like doing their parts, and I'm like, I'll do my part from the comedy perspective, and I think there's a space for all of us.
All of it is needed,
and all of it is definitely needed.
We need protest music. We need protest comedy.
People who are doing it through their music. People that are doing it through their poetry, through making filter. I don't know how you make a filter on TikTok. People are making filters on TikTok, like. Everyone's resisting in their own kind of special niche and way, and it's really beautiful. And I think we've all come together as a collective and are just like, yo, free Palestine.
Yo, I might end that there because there's no other way to end this. Yo, free Palestine, G. All right. Thank y'all.